Hey, what's up everybody out there in YouTube land? It's Clark here and you're watching I Get Food. And today we have a special treat for you guys. I'm hooking up with Aashim of seed.eat.repeat. He's one of the best food content creators and he also runs a food tour. So I'm gonna be featuring what he does in his business as well as checking out some amazing food in and around the East Danforth neighborhood. So come along and join me, it's time to get food. You guys know that I'm not a food industry professional or an expert or anything like that. I'm just a guy that loves food and the small business food scene that we have here in Toronto. That's why, when I decided that I wanted to take a deeper dive, I, along with a few friends, reached out to Aashim of seed.eat.repeat, and we signed up to do one of his custom private food tours. We started things off at a Venezuelan cafe named Pomarosa Coffee Shop and Kitchen. Once inside, we were led to the spot that was set out just for our group. And there, Aashim kicked things off, sharing his story, his roots, how he fell in love with food, and how he got involved in the local food scene.
So I moved back to Toronto. I was taking the GO train into my corporate job every day, and farming was a little bit hard to stay in touch with. But what I really missed about farming was that community, meeting people from all walks of life.
Then it was time for Chef Luis to come in, and together along with Aashim, we learned a lot about Pomarosa, what they were about, and about the food that we were about to enjoy. First up, we got to try a couple of servings of empanadas, one traditional and one a bit more modern and a house specialty. They were served along with some tigre de leche, and these empanadas were among the best I've ever had. We all enjoyed both of them, but my favorite has got to be the cheese and guava empanada. Along with the spicier tigre de leche, that was my favorite. It had a good kick of heat, crispy shell that gave way to a delightfully sweet taste. But that's not all. We also got to try some of their hot chocolate along with marshmallows that were infused with tropical fruit flavors and then toasted to perfection.
Got the creaminess of the hot chocolate, and you got the sweet fruitiness of the marshmallows.
Hey guys, my name's Aashim. I love Toronto's food scene, and I talk about it on my Instagram at seed.eat.repeat. And I also host food tours by request all over the city.
Okay, as hard as it was, we had to wrap things up at Pomarosa because we needed to head off to the second stop on the tour, La Vegan, for some Ethiopian and Eritrean food. Aashim as a tour guide is fantastic. He was a total wealth of knowledge. Once we settled in, he gave us some history of the Danforth East neighborhood before giving us some context on the Ethiopian contributions in this area.
Line was built. This neighborhood was cheap, the subway line came in, and there was a massive post-war immigration.
Next, he introduced Banchi. She's the executive chef and owner of La Vegan. She welcomed us warmly and gave us a rundown of what we were about to experience. Of course, there's going to be great food. In fact, on the day that we arrived, they were running a buffet. It's not something they normally do, so we considered it pretty serendipitous as we got to try a wide range of different dishes. Sarah, what do you think of it?
Honestly, this is really good. I love anything lentils, so the mix of the two together, I'm enjoying the combination together. Yeah.
But in addition to the food, the experience was further elevated by the communal aspect of the Ethiopian dining experience. We also got to partake in an Ethiopian coffee ceremony and learn about the origins of coffee and how it plays a part in the culture. More new discoveries to be had. I had no idea popcorn was a part of it. The food, the fun, the learning, and most of all, the community. Love it.
So I got into food tours because for me, food means community. To me, food is a bridge that can bring people together from different cultures that may not otherwise have anything else in common, or that may never otherwise meet or chat or appreciate or love one another. I first discovered how food can create community when I was farming out in British Columbia. Alongside my marketing degree, I kind of stumbled into a sustainable agricultural program, and it made me fall in love with the process of growing food, because through that, working alongside with others, literally harvesting food with people from around the world that had come here to do this program, it allowed for great conversations to happen. It allowed for me to learn about people and places that I had never interacted with or heard of before. And when I moved back to downtown Toronto, I realized that food tours are another way in which I can provide that for others. So I started doing food tours in about 2019 in Toronto. I've done about 500 to date, and that's what they are. They are ways for whether it's a friend group or whether it's a group of strangers to come together over a meal at several restaurants to be able to talk about the food itself, but through that, learn about each other's cultures, learn about each other's traditions, how we eat food, how we share, and learn to appreciate our differences and also find similarities where we might not have known they exist.
Our third stop on this tour of the Danforth East is Borrel. This spot specializes in Dutch-Indonesian cuisine, and Aashim explains to us that once a month they do a traditional feast called a rice tafel, or rice table as it were. You can see that Aashim has cultivated great relationships with the restaurateurs he partners with. Just like with the other spots, we're about to get treated to some good food and wonderful hospitality. So maybe I'll take a moment right now to break down some of the particulars of arranging your own tour. First thing to do is find the web form link that you can get through his Instagram profile. That's probably the easiest way to do it. And I've got it in the description below as well. Once you've filled it out and sent it to Aashim, he'll get back to you with the details and pricing. Now, the pricing will vary depending on the number of participants and the complexity of the tour requested. Keep in mind that these are custom tours, so the price, of course, depends on what it is you're ultimately asking for. But what you're going to get is a tailored experience. No two tours are exactly the same. But for illustration's sake then, let's take a look at what our tour is. So we were 5 people and we stopped off at 4 different spots, so the total cost came out to a bit over $500, which includes all the food that was pre-arranged by Aashim and, of course, his duties as our host. If there's any additional food or drinks ordered, those are paid separately and directly to the restaurant. Now, speaking of drinks then.
Ooh, very strong. But it's very good. Like, the taste is very smooth. The initial sip was like, whew.
What can I say? Always nice to have a few drinks to liven things up a bit. However, some of us are up to our usual shenanigans, even without a drink. Sorry, Sarah, you were saying something about the eggplant?
I was saying it's really good because it doesn't just fall apart, it holds its form and it's well flavored. Just like you were saying, it's really good.
I agree.
Yeah, the only problem is you can't keep your spouse from stealing it, right?
No, apparently not.
All right, I gotta, they've talked up this eggplant. I need to try some for myself, right?
It's so good.
So that's just it. The great thing about being able to go on these food tours is not only do you learn a lot, but you also get to try a lot of the different kinds of foods, and it's just all the little surprises, that come with that. So definitely, if you're visiting Toronto, or even if you think you know Toronto, no. My man Aashim over here, come with him, and you are gonna learn something new about Toronto, and you're definitely gonna taste some delicious food.
So what everybody says about the Toronto food scene, and they're not wrong, is that we have one of the most diverse food scenes in the world. And I do love that. But I think what our diversity means goes a little bit further than just, hey, we have food from a bunch of countries. I think it shows in a variety of ways. I think we have really high food literacy here. So I think people in general are very open to and knowledgeable about different cuisines. I generally find that in Toronto, if you say, hey, let's go try a new cuisine or a new restaurant, people have this openness and this desire to explore new cultures here that I don't think you find in other places that are diverse as well. And then 2, I think our diversity is very well integrated. So it's not that we have communities of different cultures that never interact with one another. We have a lot of places where communities and different cultures live together and share ideas and share recipes. And so you get this these very interesting fusions in Toronto. You get chefs of different backgrounds working together, and because we have so much ongoing immigration and a lot of recent immigration, I think you get people with new ideas and new techniques and new ingredients constantly coming in and constantly evolving our food scene. It's very exciting. Our food scene continues to grow and change, and it's not static. And in general, we don't really have a sense in Toronto of this is how a dish should be made or this is what a cuisine means. I think in Toronto we're flexible with letting meaning evolve, letting dishes evolve, and to me that just creates a very fun food scene that, even though it's my job, I can't keep up with. It's just something you can continue to explore for the rest of your life in Toronto. It's never stale and it's always interesting.
Last but not least, our final stop is Sala Thai Kitchen for a modern take on a classic Thai dessert. By now, we were all getting along as if we were all old friends. Of course, delicious food goes a long way in getting everybody into the groove, but a big part of it was also Aashim, who really knows how to connect people and connect the experience. We all agreed that this was time well spent. So I don't think I'm going to say too much more. I think I'm just going to let the last few scenes play out, and hopefully this whole video was able to give you a taste of what you can expect when you book your own tour. Oh wow, well, I'm stuffed, so I think this is a good spot to wrap up the video, but before I go, I do want to take a second. A huge thank you to Aashim. Definitely check him out on Instagram, and I know you guys are going to be super excited to book him for your next food tour. Also want to say a huge thank you to all the places we checked out today. Their hospitality, their friendship, and of course all that delicious food. This is going to be something that I remember for a very, 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 very long time. And lastly, big thanks to you guys for watching. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, then help me out, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below. Make sure you book a food tour. All right, you guys, get out there, get something tasty to eat, and I'll see you all in the next video. See you all next time when I get food.